Heading into the 2024 NFL season, there's no question that one of the teams with the highest expectations is the Philadelphia Eagles, as they went out in the offseason and swung for the fences with some big-time acquisitions and major changes, and now, just a few weeks away from training camp, it seems like the Eagles are primed for another special season, with the new coaches transforming the offense and defense into much improved versions of themselves, while the Eagles' addition to Saquon Barkley looks like it could turn out to be the best offseason move by any team in the NFL this year, and guys like Jalen Hurts, Jalen Carter, and other stars look ready to possibly have the best season of their careers. And all this has the NFL world buzzing, as teams around the league have certainly been put on notice by what the Eagles are building, and there's good reason for them to be afraid. So let's break that all down, and we won't waste any time. Let's get straight into it. The Philadelphia Eagles' journey over the past few seasons to get to this point has been rather interesting, to say the least. I mean, it's no secret that the Eagles had a really disappointing season last year, as heading into the 2023 season, the Birds were coming off an appearance in the Super Bowl versus the Chiefs in what was arguably one of the most exciting Super Bowls of all time, in which their young star quarterback Jalen Hurts, who was the MVP runner-up that year, had one of the greatest performances by a quarterback in Super Bowl history, putting up over 300 yards passing and a touchdown, along with over 70 yards rushing and 3 touchdowns on the ground as well, while also showcasing a clutch gene that helped the Eagles to tie the game late in the fourth quarter. And if it weren't for typical Patrick Mahomes late-game heroics and a game-winning Harrison Butker field goal, the Eagles very well could have been Super Bowl champions that year. And while it really sucked that that's not the way things ended, many were optimistic about the following season for Philly, as Howie Roseman went out during that offseason and made several intriguing moves, bringing back some of the Eagles' most important players and acquiring some new exciting faces, including Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, and DeAndre Swift, just to name a few. And fast forward to the 2023 season, and the Eagles started hot, exploding out of the gates to an NFL best 10-1 start, beating some very good teams in the process, like the Cowboys, the Dolphins, the Chiefs, and the Bills. But despite this, it felt like something was missing, as the offense didn't look nearly as dominant as it did the season prior, with struggles on third down and in the red zone, more turnovers, and some truly baffling play calling, and the defense, aside from a few nice moments here and there, simply just wasn't very good, allowing opposing offenses to march right down the field drive after drive after drive with just no answer, and failing to take the ball away consistently or even execute the simple fundamental aspects of defense very well, such as tackling. But because of the team's sheer talent, coupled with many late-game heroics from Jalen Hurts, the Eagles were still able to win games, which, side note, it's really no shocker that Jalen Hurts was recently listed as one of the most clutch quarterbacks in the game after what we've seen from him over these past couple years, with CBS sports writer Douglas Clawson ranking Hurts third on his top 10 clutch QB list, saying, quote, "He had 6 total touchdowns and 0 turnovers on potential game-tying or go-ahead drives in the fourth quarter and overtime through 12 weeks last year, culminating with a superstar performance in an OT win versus the Bills." He also gave Philadelphia a chance to win Super Bowl 57 with a game-tying drive before the Chiefs answered. So for all the Jalen Hurts doubters and haters that have been coming out of the woodwork recently, there's that for you. But unfortunately, as we all know, Jalen Hurts just simply couldn't carry the 2023 Eagles to victory anymore, and their luck ran out, with the Eagles then going on to lose 6 of their last 7 games, including an absolutely horrible blowout playoff loss to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who they had beaten earlier in the season, and the reasons for this collapse were many. I mean, the offense had gotten incredibly stale and boring and resembled a high school offense rather than a modern NFL one, and with no routes across the middle of the field or answers against the blitz or really any motion of any kind, Jalen Hurts and the group really struggled to end off the season as defenses had caught on to what they were doing. And on defense, things only got worse as an in-season coordinator switch to Matt Patricia only worsened the already glaring issues the Birds had on that side of the ball, and the defense overall ended up finishing as nearly the worst defense in total yards and points allowed in the entire NFL. And at the end of it all, the Eagles had finished a season that began with Super Bowl aspirations with one of the worst late-season collapses in the history of the NFL and a blowout road playoff loss. So at this point, it was clear that big changes needed to be made. And that is exactly what happened in the 2024 offseason for the Eagles, as they exchanged the terrible coordinators that they had for some of the best in the league, hiring one of the brightest young offensive minds in the game in Kellen as the new offensive coordinator, and one of the most experienced and successful defensive coordinators in the league in Vic Fangio. And they also made some amazing moves in terms of acquiring new players, bringing in guys like rising star pass rusher Bryce Huff, the returning safety CJ Gardner-Johnson, former All-Pro linebacker Devin White, bright rookie corners Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean, and of course, superstar running back Saquon Barkley, just to name a few. And after all these moves and an exciting offseason, OTAs, minicamp, and a ton of new developments, the expectation should be insanely high for the 2024 Philadelphia Eagles. And of course, if you're an Eagles fan, you pretty much knew all that already, but I still just wanted to go back through everything that's happened since that Super Bowl loss to really preface you guys and give you a good perspective on just how amazing the Eagles situation is right now. Because I mean, most teams, after a fall off like that, you'd expect them to continue on that losing trajectory, and many people in the national media believe that they will, whether it be because of that historic collapse and the way things ended last year, or because of just a simple bias against Philly and Jalen Hurts for whatever reason. There's just many people in the media doubting the Eagles recently, but more logical people will tell you that the Eagles are different, as this offseason that they just had has put them in a position to bounce back from the collapse rather than fall deeper into it. And one of those people is Emory Hunt, who just recently laid out some really high expectations for Philadelphia this season.
When you look at a team that was 10-1 before the bottom fell out defensively last season, and you add one of the best backs in the NFL in Saquon Barkley, that has now an advantageous box because he's with a mobile quarterback that has two elite weapons on the perimeter, he wouldn't have seen this much open room since high school. So he's going to probably go over 2,000 yards rushing. And you talk about a defense that got better, getting Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, and Milton Williams on the field at the same time in that 3-4 hybrid with those Bryce Huff and the Nolan Smith and those guys coming off the edge, Josh Sweat, an improvement in the secondary. Yes, there are two rookies, but don't discount bringing back Isaiah Rodgers, who was outstanding with the Colts before he got suspended for betting. And then you bring back CJ Gardner-Johnson to go along with Reed Blankenship. And the special teams is better with the two rookies that's going to be returning kicks and punts. This team will probably win 14 games. Book it.
Now, I honestly think that Hunt made some really fantastic points there. I mean, everything about this Eagles team is better than last year, and they still managed to start last season 10-1 before things all fell apart. I mean, let's start with the defense, like he said, and that defensive line, and being able to get those young and talented defensive tackles like Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, and Milton Williams all out on the field together in bigger roles. Based on everything that we've heard this offseason, it sounds like all of them could be primed to take steps forward in their game. Jordan Davis, for example, is apparently getting in the best shape of his life, according to himself, Jalen Carter, and their defensive line coach. And then you have Jalen Carter, who already had a great rookie season last year before he hit the rookie wall and the defense collapsed. And now he seems like he's going to truly break out this year, with him being listed on NFL.com's all breakout team for this upcoming season, with writer Bucky Brooks saying, quote, "The ultra-talented interior defensive lineman flashed serious disruptive potential in a rotational role as a rookie, despite playing on a dysfunctional Eagles defense that lacked an identity. With Vic Fangio taking over the unit, Carter could blossom as a featured playmaker at the point of attack. Whether harassing quarterbacks up the gut or punishing runners attacking the middle, Carter could destroy opponents at the line of scrimmage, especially given the defensive architect's history with interior playmakers like Christian Wilkins just last season in Miami. Considering Carter totaled 6 sacks, 9 quarterback hits, 2 forced fumbles, and a scoop and score touchdown despite logging just 1 start, the Eagles' young standout could move into the top 5 conversation at his position with a strong sophomore campaign." And I think that there's no denying that Carter has top 5 potential at his position. He's just that talented of a player, and he just has to put it all together and stay focused, which it seems like he's doing right now. And that article also made a really good point about how new defensive coordinator Vic Fangio is going to benefit Carter and his game at the defensive tackle spot, and that can really be said about the whole defense. I mean, last year, the main problem was just a lack of identity and poor coaching, plain and simple, but with Fangio, that's not going to be an issue, as the guy has been coaching for 40 years and has been one of the best defensive coordinators in the league for a long time. And he's not only going to bring the best out of Carter and the rest of the guys on the defensive line, like new edge rusher Bryce Huff, for example, who has a ton of potential and will be tasked with taking on a bigger role this year. And by the way, he's been working extremely hard recently to prepare for that new role, with new workout videos coming out showcasing Huff's offseason workouts, so it's good to know that he's hungry and locked in right now. And then moving on, Vic Fangio is also going to help improve the secondary, which was one of the worst in the league last year, and the Eagles have also made improvements back there personnel-wise, with interesting competitions brewing at cornerback between guys like Isaiah Rodgers, who could end up being a great addition, and Kelee Ringo, who seems to have gotten a lot better since an impressive rookie season last year. And then you, of course, also have the rookies Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean, so not only has the coaching back there improved, but the personnel has as well. And perhaps the biggest addition of all was CJ Gardner-Johnson, who not only brings an elite playmaking ability at the safety position, but also a toughness that was sorely missing on defense last year. So safe to say, the defense should be a lot better this year than it was last year, both because of the coaching and personnel. And you could say the same thing about the offense, as new offensive coordinator Kellen has come in and completely revamped everything. And I'm not going to go too in depth on that because I already pretty much broke that all down in my last video, so if you want to check that video out after you watch this one, you can. But basically, a ton of those issues from last year should not be problems anymore now that Kellen Moore's in charge. And then on top of that, you have Saquon Barkley Barkley now who should take the offense to the next level. I mean, go back to what Emory Hunt said. He said Saquon could possibly hit 2,000 yards rushing, and while I do think that that may be a little bit generous, I get the point that he was making. I mean, Saquon could put up some insane numbers in this Eagles offense, due to the fact that because, like Hunt said, this might be the most space that Barkley has had to run since high school due to all the weapons that the Eagles have around him and that offensive line, which is why many people are comparing the Eagles' edition of Saquon Barkley to the Niners' edition of Christian McCaffrey just a few years ago, as he took their already stacked offense to the next level. So many people think Saquon could do the same for the Birds, as he's in that upper echelon of backs that are insanely talented along with McCaffrey, as Barkley was just recently ranked the NFL's 4th best running back by NFL execs, coaches, and scouts, with ESPN's Jeremy Fowler writing, quote, "After years of toiling in the Giants' grinded-out offense, Barkley upgraded to Philly. The possibilities have some around the league excited. He's going to be a beast," a veteran AFC scout who ranked him second said. "The weapons around him on the outside, dual-threat QB, shotgun runs, his versatility, it's a perfect fit. A career reset like McCaffrey's in San Francisco would be ideal for Barkley, whose production dipped to 962 yards on 247 carries, 3.9 yards per carry last season. In the 2 seasons when he played 16 games in 2018 and 2022, he totaled 3,678 yards and 25 touchdowns. He makes life easier on quarterbacks too. Daniel Jones' touchdown to interception ratio was 2.3 with Barkley in his backfield compared to 0.8 without him. So not only will Barkley fit perfectly into the Eagles offense that already has elite talent, but he will also make Eagles quarterback Jalen Hurts better based on numbers, just as he made Daniel Jones better with the Giants. Which is why it still just baffles me that the Giants let him go, with the reasoning being that they wanted this to be Daniel Jones' year, as based on the behind-the-scenes clips from Hard Knocks, even though they were open to keeping Saquon, they really didn't make it a priority, and that could be seen in a recent clip from the show, showing us a phone call between Giants GM Joe Schoen and Saquon Barkley, where Schoen basically told Barkley to go out and scour the market, get some offers, and then come back to the Giants with a number, rather than making him an offer themselves. And you could tell based on Saquon's voice in the clip that he's pretty fed up with it, which is probably why he left to go to the Eagles, who clearly truly wanted him, in comparison to the Giants, who seemed like they didn't really care too much to make a big effort to keep him anymore. And now, based on all the evidence and the recent report that Saquon is going to be used a ton by the Birds offense, I think it's safe to assume that he's going to go out there and completely dominate for his new team. And just offensively in general, I mean, the Birds are just going to be so much better. Barkley obviously raises the ceiling and takes it to the next level, but all the other guys around him play key parts in it as well. AJ Brown's one of the best receivers in the game, and he's hungrier than ever to have a fantastic season. Devontae Smith hasn't even reached his ceiling yet, and now in Kellen Moore's system with more creativity and more complex route trees, both he and AJ should really benefit from that. Then you got tight end Dallas Goedert, who is going to benefit from the reported increased tight end use in Moore's offense. The offensive line's also still very good with 3 star-level players, and an up-and-comer in Cam Jurgens, who was handpicked by Jason Kelce to be his replacement, along with the youngster Tyler Steen, who has a lot of potential. And then, of course, you still got Jalen Hurts, who is still one of the best quarterbacks in the league and one of the most clutch quarterbacks in the league. I mean, this is a guy who won 20 out of 21 and 25 out of 27 starts at one point. He's a winner, and he is primed for a bounce-back season this year. I mean, the Eagles in general are primed for a bounce-back season this year, and the entire NFL better watch out, because the Eagles are coming for that Super Bowl title this season, and they honestly should have a pretty great chance of winning it. Now, training camp is just under 2 weeks away, and I'm going to be covering it all here on this channel, so if you don't want to miss any of that and other videos just like this, make sure you subscribe, and also really importantly, turn on those notifications so you're notified instantly when one of these videos is uploaded. And also, while you're at it, make sure you drop a like to show some support. If you did enjoy this video, I'd greatly appreciate it, because it helps me out a ton. And also, leave a comment down below just regarding anything that I talked about in this video. And if you want to watch another Eagles video going more in-depth on the Eagles' new plans on offense, you can check this out right here. Now, with all that being said, that's pretty much all I got for this one, guys. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.